Hello, good evening, welcome. Hello, good evening, and welcome. Do you know, I must try and remember who that was that said that. It was somebody from my childhood. Welcome to Rokk Around the Clock. As you all know, the one thing that is guaranteed with anything that I do is technical hiccups. So I had a brand new modem delivered today, and it was going to cure all my problems, only it didn't. So I've now switched to a completely new system. And what the heck, it's got the logo in the corner. What more can we want? I hope you're all doing okay. Better than me anyway. Just hi, Zero. Hi, Cloud. Hi, my Chief. How are you, mate? Great to see you here. I had to give in the end and go with what all the other cool kids use. There was me trying to be a rebel. So, Rokk Around the Clock, June the 3rd, 8:30 and a bit. I'm going to bring on my guest now, and it's a real pleasure to welcome. Hi, Clive. No, it's not Clive. Sorry, I interjected with myself there. Got carried away with the chat. He's a great guy. He's been a friend of mine for a couple of months, certainly almost since I've been doing this. And in fact, funnily enough, he was one of, I'll tell him this when he comes on, but when I was thinking of streaming and I bought myself an Elgato and I couldn't for the life of me get it to work, and I came across this video that explained how to set it all up by this chap called AndyMorphs, and I sent him a private message and said, oh, you know, I've got it. And he really kindly came back and helped me to do it. And I thought, what a nice chap. And little did I know that we'd be working together in the not too distant future. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. AndyMorphs. There he is, as I live and breathe.
How's everyone doing?
How are you, mate? Little virtual handshake there. I love it.
Yeah. I was actually moving the camera, but I'm going to take it and pretend it was.
Yeah. How are you, buddy?
Yeah, not bad. You? It's been a while.
Yeah. It has been a while. I know. Way too long. It's so fantastic to see you.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
No, absolute pleasure, mate. Andy knows I've been running around like a headless behind the scenes, trying to get stuff sorted. It's just become the norm for me now. I think I'm going to go back to work because it's far less pressure than this is. So, Andy, I noticed the other day,
yes,
that you have updated your logo. You've got a new look.
Well, it was about time that I stopped piggybacking off the Stadia logo and just having my weird face inside it. And it had been bugging me for a while that I really need to come up with something new. And I tried. I don't know. Well, I think you might have noticed, Rokk, because you're design minded. But I've used the Stadia logo for everything of it. So every little bit is actually the Stadia logo. And then
of course I noticed, Andy.
Yeah,
it's one of the first things that I spotted. It's yes, I always it's not that one. I always spot things like that. It's I'm having a look
your head like this to see it.
I'm having a look at it now. I might just here we go. Here it is. Hang on, there it is. Okay. Yeah. So it's not ladies' bits as I first thought. I see what you've done there, because you've got the little S as on the edge of, wow.
Yeah. The whole thing is like so. If you
the M is the S on its side. Yes. Yeah, I get it now.
The A is the same, and then it's just to mess with your head. But it's one of the things we were taught when I was doing my degree was logos through like almost subliminal messages that they send you. So my idea was I'll use the Stadia logo so people will recognize it, but it's completely different. And but I'm sure
that's really nice.
I'm sure no one needs boring that much. Yeah,
I do. Mate, anything's that takes me away from the pain of technology.
Yeah. Well,
very good.
We've sorted it.
Yeah, we got there in the end, mate. That's all good. Yeah. And the other thing I was going to say was, because you're certainly in the last month or two, I guess, or month really, but you've kind of become famous. Can I say famous?
No,
I
you
mean,
can't.
certainly within the Stadia community, for some really ingenious title launch wheezes like the Get Pack box and the Ember Gunge. I mean, tell me where all that comes from. You sort of, you like Bob Monkhouse. You probably don't even remember who that was.
I do know Bob Monkhouse is.
You know how he had millions of
Yeah.
books and he made loads of copious notes on jokes. I can imagine you there coming up with all these ingenious ideas.
I'm not that. No, I the Get Packed one. I don't even remember how I came up with the idea, but there was some idea that I'd come up with originally, and it was like, and then I thought, I've got some cardboard boxes around. Could I fit in them? And I probably could, to be honest. But the pressure, I think, of having so long spent in it would just collapse under my weight. So I went with wood. And I don't know, it was just I thought because I've been trying to get the attention of developers for a while, and I thought, well, look, you can't. One of the first things, if you listen to any of the YouTube gurus on how to have a better channel, you've got to stand out. So you've got to take that into everything you do. You've got to try and stand out in some way. So I just thought, well, what's better than sitting in a box for 12 hours, sitting in a box for 24 hours? No.
I mean, it was excruciating. I mean, it was really good fun. I mean, you did a cracking job with it. And Stadia Mania, Lee and I came on for an hour.
Yeah, in fact, that was awesome, man. Thanks for that.
It was such fun. I mean, he and I said how quickly that time went.
Yeah.
It was just really good fun. But we both felt for you because I couldn't think of anything more painful than being sat in what was it, a 4 foot by 3 foot box or something? Or
I think it was. So I'm going with centimeters here. It was 60 centimeters by 60 centimeters, and then obviously height-wise, it was, I think, 100 centimeters, so 1 meter. So you could have fit a fridge in there. That was.
It wasn't big.
That was what you could have fit, but it wasn't.
About 3 foot ish and a bit tall, and less than that in other dimensions. According to my basic maths. I mean, that's tight, mate. See, if it was me, I'd have put like a tiny little bit of cardboard behind my camera, and then in front I would have had the legs out there. I'd have had, a nice fan.
I should have just green screened it.
I should have done. So tight in here. Oh, thanks for the roast, love. Yeah. It was brilliant. How was it received by the developers?
Oh, by Get Packed, they were awesome. So Moonshine Studios and Kurtzink were amazing. The main guy from Kurtzink had messaged me. I think because I've been doing trailers of them to try and push it. It's a bit like what you did with the trailer this morning, just to push the stream. And I think I tweeted them quite a few times, and then they popped up on the actual comments and were like, "Can we promote this?" I was like, "Are you insane? Like, nice. Can we promote this? Please promote the out of it."
Yeah.
And that was amazing. So that was nice. They've been really supportive afterwards as well. So they're always either in Discord or on Twitter talking. So that's
cool.
Yeah, they've been really good. So hopefully,
it was great for them because the best they could have hoped for was handing a few codes out and getting some game streams. You were kind of a gift in many ways, weren't you?
I really like to see it do well. I think it's such a good game that if one of the big YouTubers could pick it up and play it, it'd be perfect for Stadia because it'd push Stadia and it'd push that game as well, and they deserve it. But it's just, I think it's just a matter of time. We're just waiting on maybe the YouTube features will be the thing that sit over the edge.
We'll come on to those in due course very soon. So shall we, without further ado, as they say, shuffle on to the news, because that's essentially what we're here for. So Andy, I'm just going to quickly flick through to the first one in a nice way. And of course, this week we had the Pro Games. I'll just pop this up here. So we had, as it says on that caption there, we had 5+1, I think it was. So Power Rangers Battle for the Grid, Get Packed, the aforementioned, Little Nightmares, Panzer Dragoon, and Super Hot, and then Elder Scrolls Online coming on the 16th of June. Have you had a moment to have a look at the games, have a little play?
Obviously, I've played Get Packed.
Yes, you knew about that one before, didn't you?
Yeah. I've played Super Hot on the Switch,
yeah,
which took some getting used to. Power Rangers, I want to play, I just haven't had a chance yet. Little Nightmares, I'd never even heard of, to be honest, until it came on. But that's what's great about the pro games, is that they're they're available to everyone. Well, everyone who's on pro. So I'm going to give that a go. Panzer Dragoon, I don't think I've played since it was on the Saturn. Did it launch on the Saturn? I want to say
it's a very old original game. Although the remastering, I have to say, I've played them all, and the remastering of Panzer Dragoon is superb. I mean, it's proper 4K.
Yeah.
And it is, look, I think the underlying factor behind most of these, with probably the exception of Get Packed, is that there is a definite retro feel to them.
Yeah.
Which is, like Super Hot, as you've played it. I don't know whether the intro on Stadia is the same as the older games. It is it? Yeah. So the whole concept of it being that sort of 1980s, hacking into a computer and playing this game.
It's really that's clever. And
it's
then
really,
you can't
really clever, isn't it?
If anyone's played it and they can't get super hot out of the head. But the rest, I'm going to carry on saying it just because it's that annoying. But it's addictively annoying. So I couldn't get that out of my head for like a week. I just was walking around the house going super hot. And I was like luckily, if my wife walked past, she'd think I was complimenting her. So.
my wife would kick me out, mate.
Yeah, it's a fine line, isn't it?
I know. It is, but it is a really good game. I was looking forward to that one. Little Nightmares, I had been aware of it because it had come out on PlayStation about, a year or two ago.
Yes.
And although I didn't buy it at the time, I do remember thinking the graphics looked really good, and it was a game that I'd like to play. Yeah, and it is. It's kind of a guilt-like thing in a sense. They're totally different. But if you were trying to pigeonhole it on something that's already on Stadia, you'd sort of say, yeah, it kind of feels a bit like guilt, and so that's sort of a genre. But from what I've played of it so far, it's a great little puzzle game. It's a side scroller in a sense.
I've seen a couple of clips. It looks quite difficult as well. It doesn't look like an easy game.
It's not an easy game at all. There's some quite early on. There's some quite heavy challenges, and you really do have to try. I could see people diving away from it before, but it's like Turing test that we had last month. That's another one where if you stick with it, there's a good payoff. It's worth it. Whereas some people go, just frustrated with it and put it away, and sadly it never gets picked up again. But Dragoon's very good graphically, but again, it's very reminiscent of old sort of retro games. It's one of those that I can see myself picking up now and again for a little bit of blaster fun, and it takes a little while to get used to the control. Exactly. They're free, aren't they? There's no point in being negative at all. They're all great to have for nothing. And then of course the big chalata, or whatever the phrase is, big enchilada, which is the Elder Scrolls Online, which comes in 12 days time, I think 13 days time.
I'm trying to think of what day we're on.
Have you ever played Elder Scrolls?
Never played it. I was very tempted to get it on Steam, just to see what it's like. Is it on Steam? It is on Steam, isn't it? Or on PC, whatever. I was tempted to get it just to see what it's like, but then obviously I don't really want to pay for it now, so I'm just going to wait. And Raph has said how much he loves that game, so I am going to play it just because of his enthusiasm to it. So.
It's funny, isn't it? Because of all people that have played it, I've not heard anybody say it's no good. It's not, you're not going to enjoy it. It isn't typically the sort of game I play. I'm not a massive sort of dragons and sorcerers and elves kind of guy. I prefer either contemporary or future science fiction stuff. But having said that, again, at no cost, it's a no-brainer. And I'm really looking forward to that. I don't know why when I clicked on Elder Scrolls Online it brought me here, but there you go, such is life. So next up we've got Metro. Now they've announced the two original Metro titles coming. They haven't actually said when. They've just said that they are coming soon, and of course typically that could mean tomorrow or 3 months as far as Stadia is concerned.
Be interesting to see when it's launched.
Have you played either of these before, Andy? It's Metro 2033 and Last Light.
I've played the Exodus that's on Stadia. I played that. That was good. Surprised at how good it was actually. But I've not given it enough of a go to say whether it's worth its time. But it looks amazing, and it's something that needs to be shown. There's certain games that probably Stadia needs to show off what it can do, and that's probably one of them.
I agree.
Decent.
I played them both excellent titles. I really enjoyed Exodus, as you were saying, and also the Sam's story and the two. I think it's the two.
Yeah, so that was the extra one, wasn't it, that you got with it? Yeah.
Yeah,
you had to pay for it.
Yeah, that's right. There were 2 DLCs. There was Sam's story and the 2, I don't know, officers or something. Played them both. I mean, it's in the same sort of vein. There's an element of stealth, or you can go all guns blazing, usual thing. But obviously, as you can see, it's not as good graphically as Exodus, which is a gorgeous game. But it's still really good. It's a really good game.
How old is it? It looks.
I mean, depending which one of these came first, they do go back a few years now.
Right.
I know that I think 2033 was the first one. That's based on a book by a Russian gentleman whose name I'm not even going to attempt to pronounce. But it was,
come on,
it was hugely successful in Russia. Other than that, I don't think anybody had heard of it. And then Last Light, which came out obviously later, and I think just a couple of years ago. I actually am wondering now whether I've played 2033. I definitely have played Last Light, and at the time, that year, it was one of my favorite games. A great game, great story. You could certainly see if you enjoyed Exodus, you're going to enjoy it because it's kind of in that space, really. If I'm honest with you. So they're coming shortly. We don't know when, but I wouldn't mind betting potentially even this month, to be honest, on those.
Either that or they're potentially a pro game for next month.
Well, there is that as well. Do they have they got precedent in announcing pro games this far ahead? I mean, they obviously haven't said it's a pro game, but letting us know if they're coming.
I don't know. See, that out of all the games that they've released this month coming, only one of them is actually not already on Stadia, as in get packed. The rest of them are all brand new to the system. And they're older games, so would it make sense to make them pro? I don't know. You can come up with as many predictions as you want. And then like it goes completely out the window because they'll do they do whatever they want. Which I'm quite happy with.
It's also an interesting point, Andy, because I'm not going to touch tonight on the article in Forbes about the CEO of Take-Two because there's a good show tomorrow that Stadia Dosage MM2K is doing on that. But there was something that he did say which was quite interesting, which was that he felt that Stadia in particular. And I'm paraphrasing here. Clive's in the chat, so he's probably going to come down on me like a ton of bricks. But he basically said cloud gaming in and of itself was a good place to throw older titles versus launching them on console. That was his belief from a business perspective. And it's interesting that so far, of course, the vast majority of games have been older titles. Now, that said, they've all been remastered. And a lot of them have had new features added in the sense of, specific to Stadia.
Yes.
So I don't think that's a particular issue. I'm not sure what you think on that.
Well, I said this a long time ago. So when they released Tomb Raider, I did think, it'd be awesome if they could have introduced some of the Stadia-only features into that game, just to give it a new lease of life.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think it obviously makes business sense for anyone who's already got a game just to, well, I don't know how it works, but they keep on saying ported, but from what I gather, it's not ported, it's something else. And it's just, it means you're not wasting any real money apart from the time it takes to do that. Whereas, producing games, producing the cases, producing the discs, everything like that costs a bit of money and takes money out of their pocket. Whereas it's much easier to just launch it digitally, isn't it? Which is why I suppose Nintendo Switch has done it quite well in that way. They've released a lot of old games, but digital downloads.
Of course. Yeah, no, absolutely right. And of course, at this early stage of Stadia, it's fair to say that we're not going to get day and date on everything new that's coming up because they've got to create the ports and all the new titles for it. So the fact that we're getting content at all and that they're trying to make it that little bit more interesting. I mean, Dazadini here, my Friday night cohort, says Google will be Google and shadow dump games on us. Being very pessimistic there. And this young man is nice to see us together again, which is a lovely sentiment.
Aww.
Very sweet. So that's all good. The next thing that I've got on our list, Andy, is a bit of good news if you are in the States, with T-Mobile effectively offering or giving 3 months of Stadia Pro away to, I think it's an app they've got that a bit like we have Orange Wednesdays or whatever in the UK, and they have T-Mobile Tuesdays, and essentially up until not too long actually, only up until June the 9th, so you've only got 6 days, but you can claim 3 months, which is extraordinary. Very lucky if they get their hands on it. The question I was going to pose to you was that it occurs to me that a lot of this, we've seen BT do a deal like this. We've seen a couple of American, I think a Canadian network. So do you think that was one of a big marketing push early on for Google to go out to networks and try? And if that's the case, whether or not that's because how important they see mobile as a mechanism for
possibly, eventually, maybe, I never even thought of it in that way. You've got to fit. I suppose they all do it, don't they? You look at BT Sport; that was free on EE. Obviously, this is to this country, and then you've got Apple Music is available for 6 months on EE contracts.
Yeah,
so there's all little deals going on like that you think
of course
it's easy enough to give them, but. Yeah, you've made a good point, really, the fact that it is on mobile. It's a mobile network, so it sort of suggests that is something. Are we getting it soon? Is something coming?
Yeah, I mean, it's they clearly see, because I think whenever you look at any deals like this, you're right. The first thing you think about is who are they trying to reach with this? And the fact that they've gone out after, I think with BT, it was actually their broadband package. So in that case, it was more of a residential thing.
Yes.
But certainly this one is clearly aimed at mobile networks. We know, or at least we think from the recent APK teardown, that very soon, and I think a lot of people were thinking this week even, Google will be releasing it out to all mobile phones, or at least all Android devices, on the proviso that they're not going to guarantee the quality, but have a crack at it. So that's possibly what we're about to see happen, isn't it?
Do you know what? So I'm on iOS, and my battery is gone to the point. So I've got a 10s, I think it is.
Okay.
And my battery it gets to 11 o'clock during the day, and if I haven't used it, it's still at 10%, so I have to charge it again. Which I've almost thought, should I get another iPhone? But this is interesting because if they release it to any Android phone, that's massive. That's actually a massive amount.
Yeah.
And it would really, it would really show the power off if they could do that. Even if it was at the lower rate of the 720p rather than the the two top spec
Absolutely.
ones, it would be mind blowing if they could do that.
Well, I think it's a Daz makes a comment here, which may or may not tie in with this, which is everything seems to be pointing towards the 9th, which is interesting. And I know that Brian at Club Stadia has been predicting the 9th for the upcoming Connect. Of course, we don't know. I mean, all we know is that it's going to be the summer. However, I did suggest around the time that we were all interviewing the creator bots that my feeling was that they would be releasing the YouTube, and we'll come on to this in a second, but YouTube features around the same time as creator. We've now seen them come out and say that that's going to happen and what those features are. Although, again, they're saying it's going to be sometime in the summer. But to me, that indicates that their definition of the summer is maybe sooner than my definition of the summer. And that would then tie in with this, wouldn't it? It would tie in with this. If we were looking at the 9th, which is a day after, I think, the rescheduled Summer Games Fest, that, again, we'll cover in a second, that would be an interesting connect, because you could essentially have them saying, these YouTube features, here's Creator, here is Stadia for every Android device, and so yeah, and that could all happen from that Connect, which right in the middle of that summer festival of gaming would be quite an event, wouldn't it?
Yes, I don't personally think it's going to be that early. More for the fact that I know someone had commented, I think it was on a creator stream, that summer starts on June the 1st.
Right. Okay.
But
we're in the summer then.
Well, it's technically, but I always thought summer was 20th to the 22nd.
I don't know if it's different in the States. Is it different in the?
I know if you. I don't know if you Google it. If you Google it, it says the 20th to the 22nd. So I don't really want to argue with Google on this because they're the ones who are telling us. So I've always said, and I'll be wrong because I can guarantee it. I've said that because if you go by the Google, if you Google summer, it says the 20th this year. I'm going for the Tuesday after that, which is the 23rd.
Yeah.
And I think they'll launch Creator with it because it's got to be one of the biggest games. It's got to be the one that you push.
Yeah.
And I reckon the 23rd, because I don't think they'll go as late as the 30th, because that'd be just insane. Why would you not promote it before then?
Yeah, that's a good
shout. I think the 9th is a little early. Just a little early. I'd really like it to be. I want it to be tomorrow. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah, of course. No, absolutely.
But I think the 23rd is most likely. I think it'll be on a Tuesday, and I think it'll be after Google says summer is, which is the 20th. So I think the 23rd. That is what I'm saying.
No, I agree. Most of the chat.
When I'm wrong, everyone can come back to this and go, you're wrong. And when I'm right, everyone can come back to this one and say, it was right.
You're absolutely right. Well, most of the chat agree with you. So we're going to go with, so your prediction is the 23rd, which I think is a solid prediction. And we're thinking the total phone release, Creator, and the YouTube features. Someone in the chat also said, so I can find it quickly. Why? Yeah, here we go. So I think it's Raf saying, what do you guys think of it being called a beta? Didn't Google make it sound like all devs had to do was to put it into their games? What do we think of that? What are your thoughts on that, Andy?
For the launch of the phones, is that
No, sorry, for the YouTube features. So state share and so on.
Well, so it's been really odd. We spoke to a few, me and Raf. I've spoken to a few different devs, and they get the feeling that it's not been implemented, or it hadn't been at that point, so they couldn't put it in the game. Whereas now I get the feeling that it probably has been implemented because other games potentially might have it. I'm not going to say names, but we all know what I mean. Yeah. Being called beta is odd, but then you're covering yourself, aren't you, if something goes wrong with the first couple of days, because something's bound to go wrong.
Yeah.
Any of these types of things, the advantage they've got is they can just switch it to whatever they want, which is not the case when it comes to any other game. But
and I think my thoughts are that, funny enough, we've got this as our next story anyway, so I may as well flick over to it now. Okay. I think that it's probably beta because it involves another one of the Google properties, in the sense that it's working hand in hand with YouTube. Whereas if it was a feature that they could roll out that was specifically under their umbrella, they could go balls out and say, no, we're happy with this. But I think the fact that they're reliant to a degree on working across the company with YouTube, I think they're probably just covering their asses, in fairness, by stating it's a beta, and you know, we've things may go wrong, but we hope they won't do. So
it's funny you say that, actually, because when it first came out, when it first came out, I tweeted them a note, because it's one of the things I really, really wanted was all the Stadia YouTube features. Yeah, and so I tweeted them, you know, when are some of the games going to have these features, and they were like, can you tweet YouTube creator to ask them? I was like, well, shouldn't you be asking them? I'm not really. I don't think they'll reply, and it's funny enough, they didn't reply.
Wow, okay.
So that was interesting. That was really early on. So
it's no, I mean, we've covered a lot of this already, to be fair, Andy. So we probably don't need to go, but we know now officially that Crater will be launching with state share. Yes. Now, this is we talked briefly just beforehand about the numerous YouTube features that we've all been looking forward to, excited about. Can you just explain to people what state share is, in case they don't know?
State share is where you can share a certain part of a game. Now, I think that when they first came out with it, they were like, oh yeah, you can share at any point, but I think the developer has to set a point. I'm assuming with Creator, you can set your own point potentially if you're creating the game. It's going to be interesting to see how that works.
Well, interestingly, sorry, Eddie Player One, because he's recently rebranded. He tweeted. I'll see if I can find it. He tweeted a link earlier, which, funnily enough, had been put out by Crater.
Yeah.
Here we go. It's one of these two. So yeah, I'll just have to.
Should I fill
that one? No, I'm almost there. Yeah, nothing wrong. There's nothing wrong with a bit of dead air, mate. Yeah, can you do juggling? Is that one of your many skills?
No.
Juggling in a box, that'd be something to watch, wouldn't it?
Oh.
So Crater, May 29th, so we're only talking, 6 days ago. Yeah. They actually put a blog up, and they use Medium. Literally stating how they were implementing state share as a beta within Crater. This was 5 days ago. Nobody spotted it. Eddie found it this afternoon. So they do actually, and what they say is very interesting read. They do actually state here, Andy, what the link types will be. So you're right. Yeah. There's a game in play mode, which is permanent, a game in create mode, and then join a create session that's not permanent, and join a play session, which is essentially.
Yeah, they've been showing those features off anywhere, really. If you think about it,
they have. You're right. Yeah, with all the devs that have come in to play and do stuff. Yeah.
So it'd be interesting, but it's the fact that you can create the link to do that. So it's I'm not surprised. That was, like I said, it was one of the questions we couldn't ask.
Yes, no, we were all told, weren't we? Yeah, do not ask about YouTube unique features.
Exactly. Well, Eddie asked, didn't he? And he got a little bit of a.
I think I put it in the chat, and he went, "What the hell?" Yeah. I can always blame Rokk. Up it came, but it was swiftly swerved. So yeah, this graphic shows that the gamer, the creator in this case, shares a link, friends and fans. They then use that link with share state beta, very specifically called that, and that launches the game, and then off they go and do stuff. So yeah, it's going to be a really really nice feature. You're right, though. I mean, they have talked about that as part of it. I guess the aspect of where this is as far as YouTube is concerned, because I'm not sure that specifically state share specifically a YouTube feature, is it, as opposed to?
Well, it's the fact that you could post a link out into your stream, so you could quite easily send that out, and then everyone could join in.
No, that's true.
Or
true.
Join the instance of that. It makes complete sense with that game that you're going to be creating a level, and then you want to post that level out to people as quickly. It's just I can't wait. I wish whoever was it Club Stadia, did you say, who said the 9th? If it's the 9th, I would be so happy if it was the 9th. I just can't
it was
see
it was young Brian. It was young Brian. He's absolutely.
I just can't see in that LA.
In fact, if you go to his Twitter, he's got it pinned. He's got it pinned as his first post. So
I'm gonna have to do the same now. Is that what you're saying? I'm gonna have to do. Yeah, right.
he has literally put himself out there and said, "No, I'm going with the 9th." So
why not? Absolutely, it's a bold statement. I want him to be right.
I've made so many predictions and statements that have gone totally wrong that I think you just become a bit thick-skinned to it in the end. Yeah. Daz says, "I wonder how many Minecraft-type games will be created." Well, in a sense, it is Minecraft on acid. So
you see, I'd say it's not quite Minecraft. It's more Roblox.
Roblox.
Sorry, I call it Roadblocks because that used to wind my kids up. It's actually Roblox, but I've got so used to calling it Roadblock. It's not called Roblox, it's called Roblox. So anyway,
what do they know? Interestingly enough, another article that I'll just post this one in the same place. Another article that Eddie dug up, which talks about, and I'll try and put these two links in the notes later, but they talk about how creators can monetize or earn money through Creator itself. I'm not sure if you've seen this, Andy.
Yeah, but I've seen a bit of it.
So what they've essentially suggested is that they looked at all the obvious things. So they looked at game creators selling their games. They looked at them carrying some form of advertising. They looked at sort of Patreon type creator type subscriptions, charities, and in the end they plumbed for a prize fund, which it's interesting. So in essence, the way it works is they're going to actually put up a load of money every month. I think it's every month, which will get shared amongst people, the prize fund, and will get shared amongst people that create a game, and they're going to base it on how many games, how many views, how many hours have been played, popularity, likes, and so on and so forth. And it's not unreasonable chunks of money. So you're looking at $5,000 down to $1,000 spread across 8 people.
Oh,
And then $2,000 additionally if they are presumably if they are new games that season or that month. So it actually is a fair amount of cash to go after. I mean, if you're an indie developer, then clearly not, because you're if you're a professional developer, you want this every day of the week, not just as a month. But if you're people like us that we're just playing and we're just using the game for fun, and there's a chance of getting $5,000, I think that's admirable, and might make it really popular. So that's really cool, and it's really good to see them thinking deeply about how they can possibly implement it and deliver something that's different to what other guys are doing. So hats off to them, I say. Hats off to them.
No, I'm quite impressed by it. I'd read a bit about it, but I didn't realize there was that kind of money involved. I thought it'd be like, here's a tenner.
A few £100, yeah. It's like, here you go, mate. It's a gold-plated controller.
Yeah. I'd take that, to be fair.
Well, what if it was 24-karat gold?
Right down the palm workers selling you.
Scratching it off. That's it. In the melting pot. And then sell it as a wasabi because it'd be slightly green by that point, wouldn't it? Okay, next up, we've done state share, so we're going to have a quick look. We've got a couple of quick things to look at. One is that Valve have announced something called Steam Cloud Play, and surprise, surprise, the very first partnership they announced is with GeForce Now. Now, this is what it sounds like. It's essentially cloud gaming, but because it's Steam themselves, they're doing all the deals behind the scenes with the developers and lining up the games and so on. But what they're not looking to do, from what I understand, is provide the infrastructure themselves. So they're looking to partner with people like GeForce Now and, in a sense, license them the games that they can then have on their platform. So it's another publishing route for them, if you like. But of course, if you are GeForce Now and everyone's turning away from you, when you get offered an olive branch from Valve themselves that say, here you go, here's a parcel of games, and all the contracts are dealt with, it's all fully kosher. Off you go. And it does make you wonder whether this has been in the it's been in on sort of on the table for a while, hence why all the developers skittled off in the other direction.
It's weird, isn't it? It was weird how they didn't, for one, that GeForce Now never asked any of the games companies whether they could just have them on, and they just put them on anywhere. And then people started removing. That was odd. So this is, I don't know.
It's a weird one, isn't it?
Is it a desperate attempt to, I don't know.
It's either a desperate attempt or it's a cunning plan that's been in the works for a while. A Baldric level cunning plan. I'll have a cunning plan. So the direct quote here: these cloud services enable Steam users to play their Steam library in the cloud, one game at a time, like they can on their local PC, which is just selling cloud. Developers must manually opt in the games they wish to make available on GeForce Now, which, of course, GeForce Now have started doing anyway now. But I think you can sort of see a game plan forming here with Steam and others. So maybe look out for a similar... I don't know, maybe a similar deal with Shadow in the future.
Possibly, I mean, Steam probably have to do something to compete themselves, because there's bound to be even if it's just small games like Stacks on Stacks, which came out I think at the same time, or was it 12 hours before?
Very close.
So they've got people not buying games on Steam. And they're I don't want anyone to not produce games or have the ability to access games.
No, of course not.
I'm fine with it. If the,
No, absolutely, absolutely. I mean, I've got a GeForce Now account. I've pre-ordered the next release of Shadow. I mean, I think, it's as Ray 3473 often says, it's all about the games. It's all about the games. We love Stadia because of its immediacy, its flexibility. It's a whole bunch of reasons we love it. But that should never stop anybody, I think, as you're saying, essentially, from if you see a game and it's on another system and you happen to have a subscription to that system, play the darn game. That's what it's all about, isn't it?
Yeah.
Now,
if I don't have to buy the hardware, what's I really think in 10 years' time, I don't think we'll have consoles. I don't think we'll have consoles. I really don't. I think the Xbox Series X and the PlayStation 5 could potentially be the last ones.
I think you're right.
Well, who knows? Right. It just depends on how much, how many lies get told about all these streaming services. Mainly, obviously, Stadia, but
Bippity Bob thinks that Stadia are going to buy Steam. Now that would be an interesting twist. It would certainly.
It would be massive.
That would be the biggest news of the decade, I think.
Yeah.
It could do, I guess.
Well, it would trump. Sega. Yeah.
Funny you should mention Sega, Andy, because that's a timely segue to our next item.
I read the notes. I thought I'd help you out.
Good man. That's brilliant. I have to say, this was probably one of the most disappointing news items of the year, let alone the week. So everybody heard rumors, and in behind the scenes, we as the community were bubbling and fizzing with the possibilities of Stadia buying Sega and Microsoft buying Sega and all this amazing stuff that was likely to happen. And then not him, I don't know what he's got to do with it. It looks like me when I wake up in the morning. That it turns out to be fog computing, which is essentially connecting. You can get a subscription, mainly in Japan, it has to be said, to carry on playing arcade games when the arcades have closed by using a local network. Which
that's nice,
can't.
Isn't it?
It's lovely, except it's only Japan where arcades still exist. So it couldn't be more Japanese if it tried. So
those arcade machines, they look exactly what you'd expect.
They are, aren't they? Slap fight.
Have you seen the micro Game Gear?
I have indeed.
I don't know why.
I have.
Why make it that small?
It's even funnier than that, Andy. So yeah, the next Sega announcement, as you rightly said, was the Sega Game Gear micro handheld console, which is literally the size of a stamp, right? These are 40 quid each, £40. Now, here's the thing. I can hardly see it from the size of the screen in front of me. And I'm thinking I'd have to get a free magnifying glass. Well, guess what? Sega have even thought of that, because if you buy all four colors, they throw in a magnifying glass.
Oh, that's really nice of them.
It's absolutely crazy, isn't it?
Sega big window.
The Sega big window. I don't know how you're supposed to play that, mind you, when it's it literally is just you can. It looks massive, but it really isn't. It's just slightly. If you can see that you've got the micro gear with this clip-on magnifying glass, and it reflects it, so it's probably about twice the size. You get one of those free if you buy. You only have to pay 120 quid. And you've got 4 games, and
Do you get a Sega big window with all 4 of them, or just one?
You've got to get all 4. You've got to buy all 4.
But do you just get the one?
Yes, just one, and then it clips on. So if you order the full set of colors, Sega will throw in a big window magnifier for free.
So you have to buy 4 sets of 4 to be able to play.
Yeah, absolutely. If you want, or you can nick a mate's.
It's just painful. I mean, I love the Mega Drive, and I love the Saturn. The Saturn was a good console. but then PlayStation just took over, and they carried on evolving PlayStation rather than when the Dream. I know I'm going to get some hate here because the Dreamcast for me was just. My mate got one, and I went round to his house. It was the first day, and I was like, "Oh, he's got the Dreamcast. Let's go and have a look at it." And I was like, you know what? It's got Microsoft written on it. That's really put me off. But it was the stupid. Do you know what? This is what that is. It's the stupid memory card that you got with. And I know people love. I know people love the little memory card. I didn't see the point. They made it sound as though when that came out that, what you're going to be able to do is you're going to be able to take the memory card out and carry on playing your game. Whereas that wasn't the case at all. It was some awful game that only some games supported. And it was and that's what this is. That's why this company went under. Because they produce stuff like this.
Yes.
And I know people are going to hate me.
No, I think you're absolutely right, and it's such a shame.
It is. There's so. I mean, you think back to Sonic was such So, if you're gonna go over any character, Mario as a franchise is probably the best. But Sega and Sonic was the best character. Maybe not the best franchise of games because they ruined it with Sonic Racing, which, to be honest, that really frustrates me as well. Right, we're going off on a tangent here, but bear with me because it's important. Right, a hedgehog that can run at the speed of light needs a car. Oh, why? And I know you said, you can say, well, it's just a game.
It's a fair point.
But it's not just a game, is it? Sonic was the fastest thing alive, and then they put him in a car that's slower than him. Yeah,
no, it's crazy. It's crazy talk. And then they brought out Sonic the toothbrush and Sonic the screwdriver.
Yeah,
and off he went with Doctor Who for ages. Apparently, he was the seventh assistant, and nobody knew. Bless his little socks.
Yeah, no, Sega lost me at that. They had such a.
It's a shame.
It shows how easy it is to throw such a big company down the drain.
Yeah. Well, they at the very least got some cracking PR in everybody's anticipations for what turned out to be a bit of a no story.
Disappointment.
Pure disappointment. And I think almost finally, because I'm very conscious that you've got to shoot off in a few minutes. We've just got two bits of understandable, but nonetheless sad news in that the Summer Game Fest, which is the online IGN E3 equivalent, is being put back a few days, not too far. We've got the 8th of June. So that one was due to launch this Thursday, I believe.
Yes.
So we now have to wait till early next week, which is okay. It's understandable. There's a lot going on at the moment, which we're all very conscious of, and obviously hearts and thoughts with all of those affected. And that's meant sincerely. So that's totally fine. The other putback, however, is an ongoing saga in the sense that it's the PS5 reveal, which has been postponed again. This seems to be from that was also going to be this week. I think it was the same day.
It was, wasn't it? It was tomorrow.
That's a bit of an adult move on quickly through that one. You know how Google serves ads up based on where you've been. I keep seeing that one, and I have no idea why. I mean, it's very nice. I don't understand where I've been or anything. Most strange, but no, they've essentially put it off. It was due to be again June the 4th, so tomorrow, in fact, and that would have been great. Sadly, they've just said indefinitely. They've not put a date on it. Of course, that sometimes sounds like forever. Yes. But they're essentially saying they haven't as yet decided when it will be. So my assumption is
it was obviously meant to be yesterday, wasn't it? And they put the tweet out saying that it wasn't.
This says
am I
June
getting that wrong?
4th, so that's June 4th tomorrow. So
Right, okay.
so it was set for tomorrow, and then they've essentially put it back to an as yet unnamed date.
Okay.
Probably there's so much happening in the summer calendar now that it's difficult for them to find a slot that's going to work. So
Yeah.
it may well be it doesn't happen this month at all now, and we'll have to wait. Or they might do a stealth one, and suddenly, boom, there is all your info. So
No, that's Stadia, that is.
That's Stadia, but they're all the except this isn't. Oh look, there's another one of those pictures. This is most. I hope the missus isn't watching this. I'm in trouble. Andy, I think we've just about covered all the news.
I think they could
I need to make
worse.
a quick exit, mate, before I get into some serious trouble. Where can we? Yeah, thanks ever so much, mate. For
no, thanks for having me on.
It's been a really good show. We've got some lovely.
It's been a while, and it's been nice to chat again.
Yeah, mate, that's an absolute. It's been way too long, as they say.
Way too long.
Way too long. So, where can people find you in the time-honored tradition?
So, if you want to find me on Twitter, it's at AndyMorphs, and if you want to find me on YouTube, just youtube.com/AndyMorphs, and that's as complicated as it gets.
Oh, that's brilliant. And have you got anything interesting coming up that we're going to can look forward to?
Apart from, so we've got the created 48-hour challenge that I still need. I've had a few things gone in the last week or so, so that's delayed things.
I don't know what you're talking about, mate.
No, I don't either. So that's delayed things. But luckily, yeah. So that video should be coming very soon, hopefully. Fingers crossed. And that's it. That's the next big challenge that I've set myself. But I'm going to be doing more streaming. I'm going to be doing more content. Now I've got a bit more free time.
Oh, that's brilliant. Well, it's been an absolute pleasure as always, mate. And genuinely, thank you for coming on. The door is open for you, my friend. Whenever you want to pop in for a cup of virtual tea,
quite happily come back in the near future if you want me, man. Definitely. Everyone needs to smash like.
Thank you. That's thank you, chat, for popping in. It's great to see you all. Rokk, what sites have you been visiting? LOL. Yeah, I know what he's saying. I know, mate. There are certain traditions that one has to follow. And when you have a guest who's as esteemed as Mr. Morphs, it's important that you at least get his Twitter and his YouTube channel out of the way. Because if you go back and watch any of my shows, I always forget to do it. I just go, anyway, thanks for that. Yeah, cheers, Tommy. Thanks, Brian. See you later, chat. And I'm out of here. So I'm learning. I'm becoming more professional.
It's this StreamYard. It's made you better.
It has. It's got my game right up, and it hasn't fallen over. I take it. I'm living with it, mate. It's all good. Thanks care, everybody. Thank you, chat, for visiting. Go and make sure you support Andy with all of his new endeavors and
also subscribe to this channel. Get yourself subscribing.
Thank you.
See you later.
Take care, guys. All the best. Have a cracking week. See you Friday.
Yeah.
Well, not you necessarily.